Hey everyone, it's your boy Terry, my daytime face. Surprise early afternoon Monday video. Today has been the Cadillac of Mondays. Oh, look at me in my stately chair, legs crossed, just chilling, just fed the cats, so they're pretty happy. Shouldn't be too long of a video today, I know I say that all the time. Um, just a brief update. I am, if you can see that, about 70 pages into the Obsidian Chamber, a Pendergast novel, even though there's no Pendergast yet. Maybe he is dead. Maybe I spoiled Crimson Shore for you. Sorry about that. But I'm really enjoying this one because it's written like a Robert Grace novel. The first 70 pages so far have been basically a chase. A guy looking for someone picks up shortly after the events of Crimson Shore, which I really feel like I was too hard on. It's a perfectly fine uh, Pendergast novel. It's just not, it ain't the Grapes of Wrath, but very few books are Grapes of Wrath except for Grapes of Wrath. This picks up shortly after the events of Crimson Shore, focusing mainly so far on Agent Pendergast's trusted man, not manservant, but like his bodyguard kind of guy, a guy named Proctor, who is just one of those great, competent men. Um, Kind of Joe Pike to Pendergast's Elvis Cole. I know everything in my mind right now goes through a prism of Elvis Cole and Joe Pike these days. But that's what happens when you read 15 Robert Grace novels in 2 weeks. Anyway, it is a little bit of a gray and blustery day here in beautiful downtown Irma, New Jersey, at the Casa de O'Brien. Anyway, enjoying Obsidian Chamber. I have not seen the Obsidian Chamber yet, so I'm a little disappointed so far, but I'm sure it's going to pop up at any minute. And the Shore in Crimson Shore never got crimson. Uh, so I think they're just using color schemes to set a mood here, I guess. Anyway, yesterday was a big TV day here at our house. Everyone kind of had the day off. No play practice, no nothing, no school events, no dance. Henry went roller skating, but that's pretty cool. Henry might have a couple of little girlfriends here in the neighborhood, and he was hanging out with most of the weekend. When he's not playing Fortnite for 7 hours straight on his PlayStation, yelling into his headphones with his buddies. At least they're keeping it clean so far. The language so far has not been prototypical video game language. They get a little feisty, but the language so far has been okay. Anyway, watched 3 movies yesterday and binged a Netflix show. Each movie we watched was weirder and more depressing and disturbing than the last. We started with The Dressmaker. That's an Amazon original movie. Um, Amazon has some really good original stuff, and Amazon has some very okay original stuff. In this movie, to me, if you've seen the trailers, it stars Kate Winslet, who's great, and Liam Hemsworth, who is the brother of Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor. Liam was in those Hunger Games movies. Yes, there we go. Head scratch. Ding, ding, ding. Uh, hit a thumbs up every time I do a head scratch, and I'll get a million likes on this post. Anyway, it was sort of all the trailers are. It's like this sort of comedy of manners in like indeterminate 40s or 50s Australia. And all the advertising, it's like this sort of fluffy romantic comedy kind of thing, a comedy of manners. She is the hoity-toity dressmaker, the titular dressmaker. No spoilers there. He's kind of the local roustabout. Bit of an age difference between Winslet and Hemsworth, but that's okay. Head scratch, ding, ding, ding. And it's marketed as this sort of feel-good comedy, and it's not really a feel-good comedy. There's very dark undertones, and it takes a couple of sharp, dramatic turns that you don't kind of see coming. It reminded me of, only in the marketing aspect, of when Boogie Nights came out. I guess that was mid-90s now. All of the marketing for Boogie Nights made it look like this sort of funny 70s set comedy, which happened to be set in the world of adult films, which I know nothing about adult films. And then when you sat down and watched the movie, it's like one of the 3 or 4 most depressing movies I've ever seen. Dressmaker wasn't quite that dark, but it took some dark turns that I wasn't expecting in this sort of frothy, bubbly. Oh, there's Xena. I just fed her. I promise. She has no reason to be protesting. She's only nice to me when she's hungry. But if you like Kate Winslet or you like Liam Hemsworth, ladies, I guess it's worth a watch. It's about 2 hours long. But just don't go in expect. There's plenty of comedy, but then there's sort of these whiplash inducing tonal shifts. That's like, I was just laughing and now I want to cry. And I don't like the movie for doing that to me. So I won't spoil anything for you, but it's worth a watch on a Sunday afternoon when you're not doing much, just hanging out, making dinner for breakfast for the kids or breakfast for dinner. Get over here. See, it's only nice to me on camera. I'm sorry, that was the second movie we watched yesterday because we thought that would be a palate cleanser from the first movie we watched, which was called The Florida Project, which I recall reading a review in Entertainment Weekly back when I subscribed to that left-wing commie rag before we canceled our subscription. Florida Project, I kind of knew it was kind of a documentary style movie. That's kind of all I remembered about it. And I know that Willem Dafoe was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe, I believe. And he's very good in it. He's good in everything. Except for the Spider-Man movie when he has that perfect face to play Green Goblin. They put a giant plastic mask on him. But that's 15 years ago. Let it go, Terry. And this follows few families living in a project in Florida, like the projects, Section 8 government housing, and the kind of it follows these kids, mostly the kids, over the course of a summer. And there are humorous aspects to it, but then this too also sort of gets darker and darker and darker, and you're kind of waiting for some sort of resolution. The actors are amazing. A little 6-year-old girl, I forget her name, Brooklyn something. She at like 6 years old, amazing. All the kid actors in this, and I believe they're all non-professionals. Even the adults are non-professionals. In fact, I read on Wikipedia most of them was their, aside from Willem Dafoe, who I'm sure having his name attached probably got them the funding to make this movie. Head scratch, ding ding. But it just kind of got more and more depressing. You're waiting for something to lift these people out of this situation, and it kind of goes not in that direction. And ends up, the ending is, I guess, a sort of bit of heightened reality, but not a very fun or happy-go-lucky movie, which we kind of watched. My oldest son, 16, it's like, oh, Dad, I heard about this. Why don't we watch it? I've heard really great things about it. And it's called The Florida Project because it's set in the area outside of Disney World in Florida. And when Disney World was being constructed, it was referred to as The Florida Project, which works on a couple levels. Cleverness, points for cleverness in the title, because the people in this story live in a project in Florida. And we watched it and was like, oh my God, now I just kind of feel grimy and depressed. So then we watched Dressmaker, hoping to lift ourselves out of that. And that didn't really happen. And then we had dinner, homework. Everyone kind of retired to their rooms. When everyone was sleeping, I popped a movie on called The Killing of a Sacred Deer, directed by the man whose name I can't recall. If you want facts and like figures and data on stuff, don't watch these videos for that. But if you want to know, it's by the guy who did this, who did that other thing. I'm good for that. It was written and directed by the guy who produced The Lobster, a very sort of strange avant-garde drama that came out last year. The Lobster starred Colin Farrell, as does The Killing of a Sacred Deer. I really like Colin Farrell as an actor, by the way. Also just watched him in Roman J. Israel Esquire, which maybe I'll talk about too. It's been a string of depressing movies here this weekend at our house. Colin Farrell was in The Lobster, which is about people who check themselves into a sort of, not a rehab, but like a complex where you go and you live and you have so many days to find your soulmate. And if you don't find your soulmate, you are then surgically transformed into the animal of your choice. And Colin Farrell decided if he couldn't find true love, he wanted to be turned into a lobster, hence the titular lobster of the title. Bonus points for using titular twice in this video. Good word. I know some good words. I don't know anyone's names, but I know good words. And that was kind of a bizarre. I don't even really remember how that ended, if they found true love, if he ended up being a lobster. But this guy brought the same sort of bizarro sense to the killing of a sacred deer. It's a much more based in reality story. Colin Farrell plays a doctor who has a friendship with a very young man. You sort of learn the nature of their friendship, if you can call it a friendship, as the movie progresses. I don't want to spoil too much. I don't think it's a spoiler to say, as you learn in the first act of the film, that Colin Farrell was the heart surgeon who was operating on the young man's father when the young man's father died on the operating table as Colin Farrell was operating on him. A reasonably healthy young man who went in for heart surgery and died on the table. And that sort of sets the tone for the rest of the movie. From there, it takes some really dark twists and turns that I'm not going to spoil for you. Nicole Kidman plays his wife. They're both very good. They have a young son who's about 10 and a daughter who's about 15. Those child actors are also very, very good. And the young man who plays the sort of disturbed young man who enters their life is also very good. The performances are really excellent. And there's just sort of a sense of creeping, building dread as this movie progresses that was really impressive. As an aspiring filmmaker and actor, really appreciated the effort that went into that. It's not a happy movie. It doesn't have a super happy ending, and it's disturbing. So don't watch it unless you're into sort of disturbing avant-garde filmmaking and storytelling. As an artist myself that works in those media, it was a very impressive piece of filmmaking, but not something you're going to want to watch to lift your spirits. But if you want to just see a film that is experimental at times and thought-provoking, sort of asks some big questions, it's a pretty good movie. It's called The Killing of a Sacred Deer. And we'll go back to Colin Farrell for another minute because we watched Roman J. Israel, Esquire, the night before. I guess that was Saturday. That is the film for which That is the film for which Denzel Washington was most recently nominated for a Best Actor Oscar at the lowest rated Oscars in history a couple weekends ago. As ever, and as with any Denzel Washington performance, as soon as the movie comes out, you can just mail him his Oscar nomination. He's very, very good. He plays Roman J. Israel, Esquire, who is a lawyer in a very small firm. Again, this isn't a spoiler. The first scene is his partner suffers a massive heart attack and is in a coma. And his life, Denzel Washington's, Roman Israel's life, sort of spirals from there. He is, it's never out and out stated, oh, look, a call from my best friend, restricted. There we go. Oh, I'm sorry, that was potential spam. Restricted will be calling a little bit later, and then after that, my third best friend, Robocaller, is going to come in after that. They all want money, which, so Roman then is sort of absorbed into a firm run by Colin Farrell, another excellent performance from him. Really, I mean, once you get past the movie star good looks, he's really a really good actor. I can highly recommend In Bruges. I'm in the city of Bruges, Bruges, and it's him and Brendan Gleeson. I believe that was written and directed by Martin McDonagh, who was just nominated for other stuff, the 3 Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri. So this is a circle of life here in these movies. And 14 minutes, still haven't really talked about anything. Anyway, then Roman makes some questionable decisions, but it's never outright stated that Denzel Washington's character is maybe autistic, maybe a kind of savant. His attire is sort of from the 70s. He doesn't really interact well with other people, but as the movie progresses, his character sort of comes out of his shell. Another movie with not a very uplifting ending, but sort of the journey is kind of worth, it's a little over 2 hours long, probably could have been about an hour 45. But again, if you're into good performances, check it out because everyone in the movie is very good, but not a feel good summer hit. Uh, so there you go. Four depressing movies for you. The Florida Project, Dressmaker, Roman J. Israel Esquire, and The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Put them on at night when everyone's asleep, and you can just sort of watch and go, "Ah, oh, no, really? Okay." There you go. That's my review for those movies. And the Netflix series that I binge watched last evening. Binge watched? Binge that I would partook of in binge fashion late last evening as I fought off insomnia on the couch is called Love. Now, this is a very fun show, again, with dark elements. It's season 3 of Love, which is a Netflix original, and it stars a young man named Paul Rust, who isn't your typical super handsome leading man. He's got kind of a big nose, kind of a slight build. I guess you'd describe him as a beta male. Like nerds are taking over the world, and he's like one of those guys. He falls in love with a young woman. Her name is Mickey, and she's played by Gillian Jacobs, whose first major role was on the wonderful sitcom Community that was on NBC for 4 years, and then I think on Yahoo streaming for 2 more seasons. I don't think Yahoo produces. Head rub, ding ding ding. Anyway, this is the 3rd season, sort of chronicling their relationship. They have their ups and downs. He has security issues. She has love and substance addiction issues, and they're sort of just working their way through their relationship. And it's 13 episodes per season. Each one's about half an hour. I'm not going to spoil anything because my wife might be listening in the other room, and I don't want to spoil it for her. But some of the seasons end on a not so pleasant note. This one ends on a really uplifting note, and just a good season, good solid television. Executive produced by Judd Apatow, who's big in the comedy world these days. I think that's it for today. So I can recommend all 4 movies just for the performances. Maybe I don't recommend Dressmaker. If you're just if you cut out all the sad stuff, you'd have a pretty good rom-com there. But the sad stuff for me too much clouded over everything else. So if you like Kate Winslet, you like Liam Hemsworth, it's worth a watch. But I can't really recommend it. Killing of a Sacred Deer I recommend on the strength of the tone, the really exquisite filmmaking, storytelling, and the performances. Florida Project, gosh, hard to recommend. The performances from the children, as you watch, you're going to go, wow, these kids are acting. Very naturalistic performances, and again, not an uplifting story, but worth a watch if you're into depressing cinema. And Roman J. Israel, again, I recommend on the strength of the performances. Not a great movie, but if you want to see the nominated performances in the nominated movies, then check it out. Almost 20 minutes now. And what was the other one? Florida Project, Dressmaker, Sacred Deer. I think I hit them all. If you're bored and you want to watch them, you got nothing else in your queue, check them out. Otherwise, you can take them or leave them. But Love, I very highly recommend. Good performances, good writing. I'm very invested in these characters. The problem is they take about 2 years between seasons. So when the next season comes out, you got to sort of rewatch the previous season a little bit to find out where they were and catch up. But really good performances in there as well. Even the supporting cast is really excellent in Love. A lot of very good young actors in there, most of whom are aspiring actors, filmmakers, stuntmen, that kind of thing. Paul Rust's character, Gus Crookshank's head, ding 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 ding, is an on-set tutor for a successful television show called Wichita, but spelled like witches. And he tutors a very young, up-and-coming actress who's, I guess, starts as about 12, ding, 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 starts about 12 years old. Now she's about 15. And just all the stuff that comes along with young movie stardom. Just a good show. You can get really invested. And it doesn't take forever because you got 3 seasons, 39 episodes. So you're talking about 20 hours of an investment there. And I will leave you with, I'm digging Obsidian Chamber. Who knew? And I got Beyond the Ice Limit after this, but I'm just babbling now. But I just wanted to pop in. Sorry I didn't get to make a video yesterday. I was going to make one after I watched Killing of a Sacred Deer, but it's kind of too traumatized. That's it. Share this, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, hit the About page for my email. Ding, 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 head scratch. My Facebook, you're on the YouTube, the Twitter, the Patreon. And I'm going to be sending out a special Facebook invite to people I think might want to become investors in TKO Productions via Patreon. But some of you are already on there, but I will try to include you in that email. The Patreon, I'll explain again. It's like a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter, but it's a monthly donation, and it all goes towards TKO Productions. As in, we need props and costumes for Downton Stabby, which starts rehearsals in a couple weeks and opens, what did I say, the 26th of April now? And I'm sorry, I almost forgot. Me and Bill Catarini are playing this Saturday at Carney's. We're playing 2 to 5 and then 7 to 10. And I believe Sue Pulser is in town for the weekend because we have Billy Joel rehearsal on Sunday. I think she's coming in Saturday to just kind of sit in with us, play on songs that she knows. She might play a few of our set breaks, do some of her solo material. So that'd be cool. We'll be a trio, me and Bill and Sue. And that's it. I will leave you with that. Yes, this is my Thor t-shirt. I'm a comic book nerd. I got about 12 of these shirts floating around. Daredevil, Spider-Man, Thor, Hulk, because I'm a nerd. That's it. If I forgot anything, I'll try to do another video tonight. Oh, and Shrek, the musical at Lower Cape May Regional High School, is this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going Thursday and Sunday because I work Friday, Saturday. Again, my middle child, 15, oof, he plays the Big Bad Wolf. And my oldest, 16, plays Prince Farquaad, the little short guy from the movie. And he's going to kill it, I'm sure. Until next time, be good.